One daughter built her legacy. The other burned it to the ground. Families don't fall apart overnight. Sometimes it happens with one decision, one betrayal, one moment you can never take back. This is Enid's regret, a story of family, ambition, jealousy, and the words a mother never heard while she was still alive. Before we go deeper, if this story draws you in, subscribe. There are more legacies to uncover, more wounds to heal, and more stories that remind us. Forgiveness comes late for those who wait. Mama's Legacies continues. Audra and Stanley were the kind of couple people admired. They met in college, fell in love quickly, and wasted no time after graduation. Marriage came just weeks later, followed by ambition that burned as brightly as their affection. Instead of finding jobs, they started their own accounting firm. In the beginning, it was nothing glamorous, a tiny office with second-hand desks, paperwork piled high, and nights when exhaustion outweighed hope. But they built it together, brick by brick, number by number. Within a decade, their work flourished. Clients trusted them, their name carried weight, and soon success led them to a grand home in one of the city's most prestigious neighborhoods. Then came their daughters, Elsa and Enid. Elsa, the eldest, seemed born for the family legacy. She was studious, sharp, ambitious, spending summers at the office, watching her parents work. By the time she was a teenager, she was already talking about one day running the firm herself. Enid, however, was different. She was restless, curious, with a streak of rebellion that refused to be tamed. While her parents dreamed she would join the family business, Enid dreamed of distant shores. "I want to see the world," she told them. "I want to find myself." Her parents frowned. Elsa scoffed. Stanley's temper rose. But Audra, ever the gentle mother, only said, "She'll come home when she's ready." And Enid did, years later. She returned radiant, confident, and no longer alone. By her side was Marcel, a charming man from Europe with a velvet accent and polished manners. At first, Stanley and Elsa bristled. Who was this man, and why had Enid returned only now with him at her side? But Audra pleaded with them. "She's our daughter. Let her prove herself. Let's give her a chance." Reluctantly, they opened their hearts and their business. Marcel integrated himself into the firm, dazzling clients with his charm. Enid, for the first time, seemed settled, happy to be home. For a moment, it appeared Audra had been right. But Elsa noticed the numbers. Expenses didn't line up. Petty cash vanished. The accountant called her into his office late one evening, laying out the books. "There are irregularities," he whispered. "Money's leaving the company, but not for business." Elsa's stomach twisted. The evidence pointed to only one place: Enid and Marcel. At dinner the next evening, Stanley confronted them. Papers spread across the oak table, his voice hard as stone. "We know what you've been doing." Enid's face flushed. "That's not true. You can't prove anything." Marcel leaned back, calm as ever. "Stanley, accounting errors happen. Surely you wouldn't accuse the family." Elsa slammed her hand against the table. "Don't insult us, Marcel. We know it was you." Stanley's voice cut like steel. "Pack your things, both of you, out of this house, tonight." Audra's eyes filled with tears. "Stanley, please. She's our child." But Stanley shook his head. "Absolutely not." Enid's face hardened. She rose, clinging to Marcel's arm. He whispered into her ear, and she followed him into the night, her pride wounded, her resentment boiling. From that night on, Enid and Marcel waged war. They whispered lies to clients, leaked rumors to competitors, planted forged documents to make it appear Elsa was embezzling. Elsa fought back, determined to protect her parents' legacy, but the feud escalated beyond what anyone imagined. One night, as Elsa worked late, Enid and Marcel lurked in the underground parking lot. They sprang from the shadows, dragging her into their car. Elsa struggled, but a cloth pressed over her face sent her into darkness. If you're still with me, you're my kind of listener. Subscribe now. The story only gets deeper. When she awoke, she was tied to a chair in a dim room. Her sister stood before her. For a moment, Elsa's heart leapt with hope. "Enid, please, let me go. We're sisters." But Enid's eyes faltered, then turned away. Marcel's voice filled the silence. "You'll fetch a ransom. They'll pay, or they'll lose you." Back at the mansion, Stanley and Audra received the call. Marcel's voice was smug. "You want Elsa back? You'll pay." Stanley slammed his fist against the table. "We will not negotiate with criminals, not even family." But Audra wept, torn in two. Both her daughters were slipping through her fingers, one bound in fear, the other lost to greed. The plan unraveled when Elsa resisted. She fought with all her strength, tipping the chair, screaming through the gag. In the chaos, Marcel lashed out, striking her. Enid screamed, horrified, but the damage was done. Elsa survived, barely. Hours later, in a hospital bed, her eyes fluttered open. Her body bore bruises, but her spirit was unbroken. The trial was swift. Marcel showed no remorse. Enid broke down, sobbing that she never meant for it to go so far. But the court saw betrayal, not regret. Marcel was sentenced harshly. Enid received less, but enough to steal years from her life. Audra visited her in prison. The meeting was bitter. Enid's eyes blazed. "Do you know why I ended up here? Because you were a rotten mother. You gave me no boundaries, no guidance. Don't ever come back here again." The words shattered Audra. Months later, weakened by grief, she suffered a stroke. Her strength failed, and she passed quietly, the forgiving heart of the family silenced forever. Enid was released early for good behavior, only to hear the news of her mother's death. At the funeral, she collapsed at the casket, sobbing uncontrollably. "I didn't mean it, Mama. I didn't mean it. Please forgive me." But forgiveness was too late. Stanley stood stiff, unyielding, refusing even to look at her. Elsa remained quiet, her face unreadable. The family was broken. Their legacy is stained not by enemies from without, but by betrayal within. Years passed, but the shadow of those choices lingered. Elsa ran the firm, respected but carrying scars. Stanley endured but never softened. Enid was free, yet bound in a prison of guilt. And through it all, Audra's absence loomed. Her love, once the glue that bound them, now the echo that haunted them. Because in the end, what destroyed this family was not fortune or failure. It was the unforgiving words, the unchecked resentment, and the love that came too late. Families break not from storms, but from silence, regret, and forgiveness given too late. This was Enid's regret. One daughter built the legacy, one daughter burned it, and in the ashes, a mother's love became the ghost that would never leave. If this story moved you, subscribe so you never miss the next story. Every family carries secrets, and some legacies don't rest quietly. This is Mama's Legacies, where memory, betrayal, and bloodline speak. I'll see you in the next story.
To Mama's Legacies, a channel where family stories come alive, not just the sweet memories, but also the hidden truths. Here you'll hear tales of love, cruelty, betrayal, and resilience, because every legacy carries lessons. These stories may be raw, but they are real.